as he throws up the deuces from his time in jail, in prison, at Phoenix Correctional Facility. Bill Cosby comes home as a free man. Good afternoon, everyone. This is another edition of Gavin Richard Presents here on channel GBoot2786 on Gavin Richard and on Twitter, Periscope, Gavin Rich 2786, and on Facebook, whoever you are, wherever you are. I hope you are blessed and doing safe. If this is, of course, I didn't do a live stream last night, but due to some work issues, but you know, I'm doing a live stream now and in perfect time. And I have been on the forefront and the battlefield telling you all that Bill Cosby's case was tainted. I told you from the beginning that the appeals process that he went through would vindicate him. Did I not say that? Did I not say that? I said he got railroaded. I remember 3 years ago where I was when that conviction came down, and I called out the prosecutor and the judge and about the bullshit that they did. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you saw, although he is in his 80s and free, Bill Cosby gave up the deuces. He is free. This Pennsylvania Superior Court has stated that his trial was tainted from the beginning. Guys, we're going to get started on this live stream. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. Again, if you are tuning in, Bill Cosby is free. Bill Cosby is released from prison. Supreme Court says case was tainted. I will be doing a live stream tonight at 7 o'clock with Nicole's View. Me, Drew Hepkins, Drew Story News, and Harvey Superboy will be talking about the case. So you guys don't want to miss that. But we're going to talk about this in a second. But first, I got to play this. I don't care if I get a copyright strike. Oh, yeah. He should have came out of court. He should have came out the prison. I hope he did a little dance. Like the season 8 opening. He should have came out. Y'all remember this one? He should have came out like that. Oh, this is a glorious day. This is a good day. This is the work, though, of New Black Media, ladies and gentlemen. We have been on this for a long, long time because we stated that Bill Cosby was innocent. We stated that the trial was tainted. You see, I pay attention to what the facts are in a case. I don't get caught up in emotions, and I don't know about you guys if you watched CNN. Hopefully you don't. But earlier today, when the news broke, they had uh, I can't remember who the host of the CNN show is, but she was interviewing, talking to Lauren Coates and a few other attorneys, and basically talking about how, this is so upsetting. There are 60 other accusers. I believe her name was Elisa. You guys may know her, but it was so much bullshit, so much BS. Allison Camarada, that's her, Camarada. The reporting was so slanted and disgusting that it wasn't even funny. And that is another reason why I think if they had gotten to the federal appeals court, this would have been another Shepard versus Maxwell case. In Shepard versus Maxwell, that was about Dr. Sam Shepard that was accused of murdering his wife. And the lies that they spent. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that some more, dark-skinned brother. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But you had the media and press at Sam Shepard. This is a white boy now. At Sam Shepard's, this was a doctor, Sam Shepard's trial. Dorothy Kilgallen, who I did a show on, she was present in court. The judge actually gets off the bench and says, there's no doubt about it, he's guilty as hell. During the trial, the press was all there in the front rows. They were, they had this man guilty before even his trial. They were putting out reports. So the local newspaper out in Cleveland was so distorted and biased that before all factual information came out, they labeled this man guilty. And did they not do that with Bill Cosby? You had the CNN special, the case against Cosby, the women against Cosby, the women versus Bill Cosby, all of this stuff on A&E had a special. The Cosby, the Women Speaks, I believe was one special. All of that. And now they sit with egg on their face. MSNBC is no different. They had the special prosecutor on. I didn't even want to hear what she had to say because I knew it was going to go on. And how did they say, well, you got to remember, there were black women accused too. There were white women in blackface. Lily Bernard's ass even darkened herself with a fake afro. A few others. Tariq Nasheed, let's pull it up, because you see what the media likes to do is lie. They like to lie and deceive you and leave out something. But when Allison Camarada talked about, for instance, that partner deposition when Bill Cosby was asked, when you got the Quaaludes, was it ever your intent to use them with women you had sex with? And he answered yes. She showed that image, but she left out something very important. And this was earlier today. She's left out the part where when Cosby was asked by Dolores Troiani, who was Andrea Constand's lawyer, did you do it without their consent? Was it involuntary, meaning did you slip them a Mickey? Cosby answered no. He answered no 3 times. You know how I know that? Because I read, and the key word is read, what was in the deposition. What they will do when you listen to the CNNs, the talking heads on CNN and MSNBC, they will only put up part of what was in the deposition and not in its entirety, so you can get a total understanding and a better context of what happened. Yes, they have a whole tray of eggs on their face, dark-skinned brother. Thank you for your military service, too. Oh, we're going to talk about that in a minute. I will get to that in a minute. He's got a good chance. Tomorrow, I'm going to have Andrew Jones come back on. He's a lawyer out of New York with Sean. And we're going to discuss that very aspect because without a doubt, he does have a case for damages. Yes. And we'll talk about that in a second. But you guys could look, and the good thing is if you guys go onto the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's website or even on YouTube, and I'm glad they did this. You can't bring cameras into the courtroom, but the Supreme Court live streamed. They live streamed the whole entire hearing. Now look at the bullshit that the media is putting out too. This is what I'm talking about. This is why you come to new black media or independent media, because when you go to mainstream media or lamestream media, this is the type of stuff you're going to see. Look at what Slate put. Unfortunately, the decision overturning Bill Cosby's conviction makes sense. They tried to say on CNN, well, it's not that he's not innocent or even not guilty. It's just that it's a technicality. No, it's not a technicality, Moise Lamont Hill. I saw him talking that shit too. It's not a technicality. Freddy Krueger getting released from prison from off those murder charges because they didn't read him his Miranda rights, that was a technicality. This was an effing catastrophe. Just look at this. Look at what the white supremacists write. Wow, I've never seen people so happy and proud to protect a rapist. See, they will always throw stuff like that. Oh, they're angry. Oh, they got eggs on their face. The former actor who was once known as America's Dad. No, he's not once known. He still is America's dad. You see, let me break the legal part of it down for all of you. This case, by what the Supreme Court stated, should never have been tried in the beginning. And they say that because when you read the majority opinion, this was written by Judge Wett, excuse me. When you read the majority opinion, ladies and gentlemen, and you go to this website, this is the Supreme Court's website. You can pull it up, and I'm going to show it for you. I'm going to show you a paragraph. So they did not address the issue about the five prior bad act witnesses. And the reason why they didn't do it was because by their questioning, this issue, the main issue for them was whether or not Bill Cosby waived his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination when he had an agreement, apparent agreement, with Bruce Castor. Bruce Castor was the prosecuting attorney at that time. And Bruce Castor, and I hope I can find it, I might play that. He actually did an interview with MSNBC. I didn't watch the whole thing. Bruce Castor, he was Donald Trump's lawyer. That's how they write this article, and they say he played a central role. Of course, they want to know what he had to say. And they're all talking about him right now. Oh, look at all of this shit. In style. Bill Cosby is walking free due to a technicality. That's all they have here. But I saw he was being, and I might be able to find it, but he was being interviewed on MSNBC. We know that's a left wing. That's a left wing newspaper. It's not a news network. They're not fair and impartial with their reporting. Just like Fox. No one's fair and impartial anymore. But let me show you all. Okay, I'm just going to get to it. On page, let's see. And these are the women. They go through the five bad act accusers. You see Janice Dickerson. And look at this. Now let's look at this. Just this Janice Baker Kinney. She was one of the women that testified. You see when CNN puts this bullshit out about the 60 accusers that says something, she states in her statement, this is the court, she said, although she could not, she's talking about waking up with no memory of what happened after she followed Cosby upstairs to the bedroom until the following morning. She woke up naked next to Cosby, who was naked. And although she could not remember for sure, Baker Kinney believed that they had sex. She dressed and left. And she says this happened in 1982. She's 24, he's 45. When she arrived at the residence, she realized there was no actual party, at least as she understood the term. Baker Kinney and her friend were the only people there. Cosby gave Baker Kinney a beer and a pill, which she believed may have been a Quaalude. A short time later, Cosby gave her a second pill. So they're voluntarily taking these pills. And it's a known thing that Bill Cosby is married. 1982, I wasn't even born. And I believe it was Baker Kinney, if I'm not mistaken, who came forward only after Gloria Allred, if I'm not mistaken, did her press conference. Some of these women, I don't know which one it was, but said that they couldn't even tell whether they may have been high before they got there or what. But I won't address these right now. I wanted to get to what the main thing was and what they focused on. They even said that this case, it wouldn't matter discussing the prior bad act witnesses, because if Bill Cosby was given immunity by the prosecutor, then all of that would be moot, because it would be illegal from the beginning to use his testimony that he gave in the civil trial. So you see here, page 47 of 79, where a district attorney agreed that Cosby would not be prosecuted in order to force Cosby's testimony at a deposition in constant civil action. The district attorney issued a formal public statement reflecting that agreement, and Cosby reasonably relied upon those oral and written statements by providing deposition testimony in the civil action, thus forfeiting his constitutional right against self-incrimination. Did the panel error in affirming the trial court's decision to allow not only the prosecution of Cosby, but the admission of Cosby's civil deposition testimony? And the answer that they came up with ultimately was yes. So they said here, we begin with the second issue, because if he is correct that the Commonwealth was precluded from prosecuting him, then the question of whether the bad act testimony, prior bad act testimony, satisfied Rule 404B will become moot. So they didn't even have to look at the prior bad act witnesses. But Bruce Castor announced to the public, on behalf of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that he would not prosecute Cosby for any offense related to the 2004 sexual abuse that Constant alleged. And he stated that Constant's credibility issues, the absence of direct or corroborative proof by which to substantiate her claim, led the district attorney to believe that the case presented insufficient, credible, and admissible evidence upon which any charge could be sustained beyond a reasonable doubt. You see, it is not about whether I like a person. You see, most of the people who say things about Bill Cosby, they can't say whether or not the charges are true against him. They just say he's guilty because I think he's an a-hole. He's an asshole. And let me say something on that. The black people in the black press that did not even bother to come to the trial, that didn't do fair, accurate reporting, those that he helped in the past, like your Tom Joyners, Michael Baisden, Michael Eric Dyson, Tom Joyner, every time Tom Joyner had a Sky show in Philadelphia, who did he call to get money raised for black colleges? Who showed up for free? Who gave the NAACP carte blanche to use his image and likeness without charging a dime. And they turned their backs on him because he talked down to me. The black comedians also who were upset with Bill Cosby. Well, he didn't like my comedy. He talked down to me. You know, he's an asshole. I've had conversations with some friends of, you know, with one of my brother's friends, and I told this story before, how as I'm discussing the case with him, they asked questions about it. He could not tell me exactly whether he thought Bill Cosby was guilty or not. He just said he's an asshole. That's all he had to say. He didn't say he thought he was guilty, but he looked down on young black men. I said, listen, this man gave more monies to historically black colleges and universities than any other celebrity outside of Michael Jackson. $25 million to Spelman. Oh, they need to give their money back. You took away his awards. If I was Bill Cosby, yeah, I would ask for my money back as soon as I got out. You know what else I would ask for too? I would ask, you all had asked me, and I'll just go ahead and talk about this because I'm going to talk about it on Nicole's show tonight. Does Bill Cosby have a right to get any monies back from the accusers and so forth? Well, here's the thing. My understanding with some of those settlements, that was done with the insurance company. The insurance company had settled a few of those accusers, like Janice Dickerson's case and a few others. Bill Cosby had nothing to do with it. In fact, he was upset that those cases were settled. Just like with the Michael Jackson situation, Michael's insurance company was the one that paid Jordy Chandler's father, Evan Chandler, that money. It was not Michael Jackson himself. So I don't know about Bill going after them. But what Bill Cosby certainly can do, does he have a right of action against Kevin Steele and Stephen O'Neill, the judge, the asshole judge that allowed this travesty to go on? And the answer is yes, absolutely. He can go after the entire state of Pennsylvania. He can sue the judge in both his public as his duty as a judge and as a private actor. He could sue him individually. He can sue Kevin Steele for malicious prosecution. Absolutely. Absolutely. Black Mama and Daryl Nix, thank you. Black Mama is here? Black Mama can't comment, though. She's at school probably. I know you're working, baby, but you're watching the channel. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your donations. What's up, Northern Bell? The specialist list one says, Bill Cosby tried to save my high school in Detroit. He offered to buy it to keep from closing. They refused his offer. He is a good man. Yes. Let me tell y'all a story here. Maybe I don't know if I should say this. But Bill Cosby was always about giving to HBCUs. My understanding, Bill had tried to give monies to Southern in Baton Rouge. Y'all know I'm a Southern graduate. I'm a Southern alum. My Jaguars, what's up? And my understanding, though, was very interesting. He wanted the money. I'll just say it. He wanted to give money to Southern, but the money was going to be earmarked. He wanted it to know exactly where the money was going to go. And Southern, I think, my understanding, they didn't want to do that. And so they turned him down. And I had that confirmed from people, from my sources, people that worked at Southern. Not recently. This was something I learned years ago, even before I worked as an adjunct there at Southern, before I was in law school, that this had happened. But he has always been about giving to HBCUs. And I'm wondering, will Spelman give $25 million back? We got to ask. Spelman, since you took Camille and Bill Cosby's names down from your halls at Spelman College, are you going to give the monies back? Are you man enough to do that? To admit that? Because this is not a technicality. Look what our brother Judge Joe Brown said. I'm gonna put the opinion back up. But Brother Judge Joe Brown just said this. So, Brother Judge Joe Brown, but he wrote this. He says, due process is not a technicality, but a fundamental aspect of justice. Absolutely. A fundamental aspect of justice. That is due process, ladies and gentlemen. Law school is expensive, especially when you get out and got to pay your licensing fees and your bar exam notes. It is expensive. It's not cheap. When you got to pay back all your student loans. I'm trying to get that one big case. I'd hang it up. If I got a multi-billion-dollar case, oh, I would hang it up. Maybe go out. Maybe I'll do some little side work or stuff, some family law cases, but I would not overwork myself. But yes, due process is part of justice. It's not a technicality. And Bill Cosby was denied due process. And to do it, he's going to go home for his birthday. Shout out to Jaleel. They picked today to send him home when I'm still on the clock. So when we go back and look at this, they say that the trial court presided over the habeas corpus hearing, viewing and hearing the witnesses and their testimonies firsthand. And from that vantage point, the trial court determined as a matter of fact that Castor had not extended a formal promise to never prosecute Cosby, let alone consummated a formal non-prosecution agreement with Cosby. The factual basis for the court's findings was twofold. First, the court characterized the interaction between the DA and Cosby as a failed attempt to reach a statutory prescribed transactional immunity agreement. Second, the court concluded that the former district attorney's testimony regarding the legal relationship between him and Cosby was inconsistent and equivocal at best. But then Castor admits at the hearing, and this is what I was talking about, he stated that he intended to provide Cosby with transactional immunity. He explained that this conferral was predicated upon the state's common law authority as a sovereign rather than any statutory provisions or protocols. The record does not contradict his testimony. There is no evidence, any real contention that the parties even contemplated a grant of immunity under Section 5947. They say that the trial court's findings that the interaction between the DA, Castor, and Cosby was not a formal attempt to bestow transactional immunity upon Cosby is supported by the record. However, so they found the trial court's description of Castor's testimony as inconsistent and equivocal, and they say it found support in the record. And he said there were no substantive changes that occurred in the case, such as Cosby confessing to the crimes or that he appeared to have lied or attempted to deceive the investigators. In fact, let me say this, Cosby welcomed the investigators into the home. But then we get to the meat. And Castor testifies that the signed press release was meant to serve as proof for the 2004 incident for a future civil judge that Cosby would not be prosecuted, thus stripping Cosby of his Fifth Amendment right not to testify, meaning that he's stating under oath that signed press release was meant to serve as proof for a future civil judge. Cosby would not be prosecuted. Thus, he would not have a right to claim against self-incrimination, pleading the fifth. You cannot plead the fifth in civil cases. Excuse me. I practice civil law and I practice criminal law. But James, they said the family gave it back. No, they can still give it back to the family. Bill Cosby, we know who's the one, we know who paid for it. We know who gave him the check. We know who the breadwinner. I love Dr. Camille Cosby because that is a beautiful black woman. That is the type of wife you want to have because she's a soldier. She rides for her man, even when she's been wronged. And let me talk about that. Let's talk about black love. And take my glasses off because I hate the glare. I want y'all to look at my beautiful, sexy brown eyes. Bill and Camille Cosby. I've heard people talk and say bad things about Mrs. Cosby and so forth. Why she's still married with him. They even talked about that on The Talk. I remember when who was it, Julie Chen, who's married to molested Moonves, that made those remarks. And then she walked up with egg on her face because her husband got accused of the same stuff that Mr. Cosby, well, maybe not the same, but of sexual misconduct. Camille Cosby and Bill Cosby have been married for over 55 years. They have 5 children together. They have buried 2 children. We got to remember, too, Bill Cosby, when this happened with this affair with this woman, not that it's an excuse, he was at a point in his life where he lost his only son. His only son was murdered mysteriously. And then his daughter Insa dies right before the trial. They've been married for a long time and gone through a lot. They have grandchildren. I'm pretty sure Mrs. Cosby knew about the other women because being from that era of the 1960s, where that was really when Bill Cosby broke out, after he got out the Navy and started performing stand-up, going to Temple, meeting Camille Cosby, falling in love with her. When he started to become famous, women, as you all may know, just like the Rat Pack, just like John F. Kennedy, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Nat King Cole, Sammy Davis Jr., all of those guys had mistresses. Elvis Presley, all of them. Because when you're a powerful person, when you're a popular person, like Damon Wayans even said on The Breakfast Club, women throw themselves at you. He lived through fame. He saw it firsthand. So I'm not going to say that Camille Cosby condoned it or approved of it, but I think she just understood it was part of the business. It's not right. He made a vow with God. Yes, it's adultery. But you know what? She stayed married to him, and she's also a powerful woman without a prenup. That's my thoughts, too. I don't know what goes on in their marriage. Maybe they have an open marriage. I saw Maria Cole, Nat King Cole's widow. She was asked and did an interview sometime she's deceased now, but she was asked about the affairs that her husband had with a co-star, this white woman from the movie Cat Ballou. Her last name was Hutton, Swedish woman. And she said, my husband was my husband. He wasn't perfect, but he was my husband. You took a vow for better or for worse. And I think that's the way that Mrs. Cosby, Dr. Cosby, looked at that relationship. So it's been over 3 years, ladies and gentlemen, that Bill Cosby is in jail. And what's interesting too is that Kevin Steele, what's up, computer robots? Kevin Steele has filed, has fined Bill Cosby for unkept grass at his home. Did y'all know that? Just this past week. It was reported by YC News that Steele had fined Bill Cosby from $2,000 for unkept grass. And Andrew White was actually, according to his interview with TMZ, actually had was on his way, according to him, to go pay that fine. This is coming from YC News. Shout out to Nick from YC News. He has been on this. Their marriage is their business. That is correct, Jaleel. Now, when you're unfortunately in the public, your marriage is everybody's business, though. When you're a private, even though you try to keep your private life private, when you are in the public eye, just like a Michael Jackson, just like a Prince, everybody tries to get in your business. And your business is out there for everyone to see. So they fined him for unkept grass. Look at this. This is how desperate this piece of shit Steele. I'm gonna say it. I know lawyers owe respect, but this is a piece of shit. He's not gonna be he will not be district attorney. Mark my words. I'm confident in saying this. Kevin Steele will not be a district attorney in, I don't know when the election comes up, but I doubt he will get reelected. He was elected back in 2018, in 2015. He will not get reelected. I'm confident in saying that. I'm hella confident. Look at this. Look at this. He went to a magistrate court for accumulation of brush and overgrowth of grass. If I was Cosby, I'd say take them 2 years off my time, use it for time served, and get the fuck out of here. You prick. I know I got to be professional when I'm on here, but I'm so mad. This was a travesty of injustice, ladies and gentlemen. That should have never happened. This was a travesty. You all should be outraged that this even made the light of day. And where is black media? What do the black comedians who threw Bill Cosby under the bus have to say? What do the black actors and actresses who all talk some shit, what did they have to say? Ernest Lee Thomas. Remember when Ernest Lee Thomas said, oh, he guilty, he guilty. All because he didn't want to talk to me on a set of less of a piece of the action. You in your 70s, man. Grow up. Y'all got to grow up. We got heavy stuff going on out here, and we got people upset over stuff that happened 40 years ago because he was just rude to me. He didn't like I saw Earthquake on Vlad. He was on Def Comedy. He didn't like Def Comedy Jam. He would have gotten Def Comedy Jam canceled. A lot of people didn't like Def Comedy Jam. Love you too. A lot of people didn't like Def Jam. I love Def Jam, and let me be clear. I don't agree with everything Bill Cosby does and say. I don't. I think that how he handled the situation with the pound cake speech, although I understood what he was saying, he could have probably been more concise about what he was referring to. Uh, Moise Lamont Hill was basically saying Bill Cosby is not innocent. He got released off of a technicality. I said he needs to get some putting on me. If I was Bill Cosby right now, in his house, I would get my slippers. I'd get me some wine. I'd get a Quaalude out the cabinet. I'd grab a pudding pop from the refrigerator. I'd sit in my chair in my bedroom. I'd light up a cigar. Then I'd get on the phone. I would call my lawyers and I would just tell them file a suit against all of these motherfuckers right now. Go to town because he's got a strong, from what I'm reading, he has a strong case, ladies and gentlemen, of malicious prosecution. A strong case. So let me just go back. I know I cursed him. This is a key thing, though. Considered together, they were citing some cases. These authorities obligate courts to hold prosecutors to their word, to enforce promises to ensure that the defendant's decisions are made with a full understanding of the circumstances, and to prevent fraudulent inducements of waivers of one or more constitutional rights. Prosecutors can be bound by their assurances or decisions of the principles of contract law or by application of the fundamental fairness considerations that inform and undergird the due process of law. The law is clear that based upon their unique role in the criminal justice system, prosecutors generally are bound by their assurances, particularly when defendants rely to their detriment upon those guarantees. There is no doubt that promises made during plea negotiations or as part of fully consummated plea agreements differ in kind from the unilateral discretion exercised when a prosecutor declines to pursue criminal charges against the defendant. As suggested by the trial court in the present case, such an exercise of discretion is not per se enforceable in the same way that a bargain for exchange is under contract law. The prosecutor enjoys tremendous discretion. All right, listen now. Tremendous discretion to wield the power to decide whether to initiate formal criminal proceedings, to select those criminal charges which will be filed against the accused, to negotiate plea bargains, to withdraw charges where appropriate, and ultimately to prosecute or dismiss charges at trial. Remember what I told you guys, and I wasn't lying when I said that the prosecutor was the most powerful individual in the courtroom. There's a reason why I said that, and it lays it out right there. They have the power to decide whether or not I'm going to bring charges or I will decline to bring charges. They have a power to negotiate on behalf of the state. Bruce Castor negotiated with Bill Cosby's lawyers. I believe his lawyer was Brian Montague. And he said that there would be no charges. Brian J. McMonagle, excuse me. McMonagle. Oh, we're going off. I don't know if he was the lawyer. He was a lawyer during the first trial. I'm trying to think of who the lawyer was during the settlement. Huh? No, I'm not. Sorry. But I told y'all. I wonder if Tariq got. I'm hoping Tariq got. It will drop a video on this, but we're gonna do what we're gonna do. So we're gonna do this. Hold on.
Victory today! Come on, y'all! Joyous fun! Come on, say
This is what I think.
joy today! I told Satan, get thee!
We sold
Say it again, joyous fun! Yeah, I told Satan, get thee behind! Joy today! Happy day! Come on, say
This is the new Cosby theme song.
I told Satan,
Oh, Felicia Rashad was cheering. She's been on hold.
victory is mine, say. Yeah, yeah. Come on, say. I told Satan, get me behind. Yeah. Come on, clap your hands.
That's the Cosby Show theme. Victory is mine.
In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. Come on. In the name of Jesus. Come on. We have the victory. In the name of Jesus. Come on. In the name of Jesus. Say it now. Tell me. Who can stand me? When we Jesus. Yeah.
Victory. Mark Lamont Hill is salty. Mark Lamont Hill is on his period. No disrespect to the sisters. Moist Lamont Hill. I have not forgotten what Mark Lamont Hill did with Dr. Francis Cress Wilson and then tried to disrespect Malcolm X. Who the hell is Daniel Cormier? An MMA fighter? Some people have said, I remember when I was younger, people said a few years ago, someone said that I look like the Dream, the producer from back in the day. I've had people say that. See, I don't even watch MMA too much. I watch boxing and stuff like that, but Daniel Cormier. Wonder how you look like High Heart 69er. If you're a woman, I'm sure you look cute with the lights off. So oh, let's go to this. Computer Robots posted an article. So what I was saying though was that if you go look at this, they're saying essentially a prosecutor's word. It did not have to be a formal contract agreement, but if Bill Cosby relied on the prosecutor's word that there would be no charges, and couple that with the fact that the prosecutor released a public statement saying that there would be no charges against Mr. Cosby, then at that point, you have qualified immunity. They cannot go for a third trial because the case has been barred. The Superior Court has said that there is no more trial. He cannot be prosecuted again. So let's see what he had to say.
Covered this case extensively over the past several years. Tell us what's going on there and what you can tell us today.
I don't own the rights to this, but let's listen in.
Well, it is all quiet out here.
It should be quiet.
Going on. I can tell you that this is where it all started. This is where Bill Cosby was convicted. It was where he was sentenced, and it was when he walked out of this courthouse one of the last times as a free man. I actually yelled to him as he was leaving, and he always said he was steadfast in his resolute that he was innocent of these sexual assault charges. He said he'd be willing to spend all 10 years of his prison sentence rather than admit innocence in this case. We can tell you that the district attorney, Kevin Steele, who prosecuted this case, came out with a statement just a little while ago. We want to show it to you. Here is his statement in part. Kevin Steele saying Cosby, he was found guilty by a jury and now goes free on a procedural issue that is irrelevant to the facts of the crime.
Oh, it's very relevant.
Cosby's victim, Andrea Constand, who her bravery of coming forward and remaining steadfast throughout this long ordeal, and all of the other women who have shared similar experiences. My hope is that the decision...
No, but you believe in breaking the law because you and engaging in unethical activity. Because you went and did a campaign. I got to stop it. You did a campaign and ran your entire campaign to go after Bill Cosby when you were running for prosecutor, when you were running for DA out in Montgomery County. You ran a campaign telling the voters that if you put me in office, I'll get Bill Cosby in jail. There were actually political ads like that. So I don't want to hear you feel bad. I don't really have. I don't think I'm a fan. I'm gonna play it a little bit more.
Will continue to follow the evidence wherever and whomever it leads.
You had no evidence.
We still believe that no one is above the law, including those rich, famous, and powerful. Those words from Kevin Steele, the one who convicted Bill Cosby, but now that conviction is overturned, Bill Cosby is now a free man. And part of that agreement, Shayna, is there will be no further prosecution. This is a done deal.
It's a huge story.
It's a done deal.
We could go on, and we are going to throughout the
night.
So thank you, Chris.
You got caught. It was an illegal. prosecution. So Bill Cosby was found guilty, but his conviction is overturned. So it reverts back to the fact that he is now restored to his status. When the Superior Court said in this statement, and I quote, let me go to page I'm at the last page, one of the last pages here. They said, this is the last page. There is only one remedy. They were talking about whether to do a third trial. They said it would be bad. There's only one remedy that can completely restore Cosby to the status quo ante. When we get to the ante, that means we get in the Latin part, we know it's getting serious. They said he must be discharged, and any future prosecution on these particular charges must be barred. We do not dispute that this remedy is both severe and rare, but it is warranted here, indeed compelled. The CDO would shun this remedy because, at least in part, it might thwart the public interest in having the guilty brought to book. It cannot be gainsaid that society holds a strong interest in the prosecution of crimes. It is also true that no such interest, however important, ever can eclipse society's interest in ensuring that the constitutional rights of the people are vindicated. Society's interest in prosecution does not displace the remedy due to constitutionally aggrieved persons. In conclusion, we do not question the discretion that is vested in prosecutors over whether charges should be brought in any given case. We will not undermine a prosecutor's general and widely recognized power to conduct criminal litigation and prosecutions on behalf of the Commonwealth and to decide whether and when to prosecute and whether and when to continue or discontinue a case. The decision to charge or not to charge a defendant can be conditioned, modified, or revoked at the discretion of the prosecutor. However, the discretion vested in our Commonwealth prosecutors, however vast, does not mean that its exercise is free of the constraints of due process. When an unconditional charging decision is made publicly and with the intent to induce action and reliance by the defendant, and when the defendant does so to his detriment, and in some instances upon the advice of counsel, denying the defendant the benefit of that decision is an affront to fundamental fairness, particularly when it results in a criminal prosecution that was far gone for more than a decade. No mere changing of the guard strips that circumstance of its inequity. A contrary result would be patently untenable. It would violate long-cherished principles of fundamental fairness. It would be anti-ethical, too, and corrosive of the integrity and functionality of the criminal justice system that we strive to maintain. For these reasons, Cosby's convictions and judgment of sentence are vacated and discharged, and he is discharged. You see that Chief Justice Bayer and Justice Doherty filed what's called a concurring and dissenting opinion, meaning that they concurred in part, but they dissented in part upon the reasonings why the majority gave its decisions. So Justice Todd and Donahue and Mundy agreed with Justice Wett, and only Justice Saylor disagreed, meaning she dissented, didn't think Cosby should have been released. So they didn't even bother to address the other issue. So what do y'all think, guys? How do y'all feel? I have put in the chat where you guys can go and look at the news article, but also you can look at the opinion in and of itself. That's always good to look at the opinion so you can understand what the judge's decision was, because when you go to mainstream media, they're going to put it in such a way. And, I was watching earlier where they want to discredit the verdict like it was nothing. There's a technicality. That's why he's still guilty, but we're going to let you off. He's still guilty, but that's why they had to do it. It's like with OJ. They try to say, well, that was because of juror nullification. Why OJ got free. They didn't look at the evidence. They always throw that BS. Yet none of these women, you ever saw a police report, you never saw a rape kit. Even in this case, we don't know what drugs were given to them. They all say the same thing, but yet they also say they went to the room willingly. Some of them have said, sorry. Yeah, of course they're going to be mad. This is what it's going to be like. I'd like to see, remember OJ was the one that said a few weeks ago, said Cosby should have just taken the parole. No, you don't take parole when you're innocent. You don't take parole when you're innocent. So I'm looking at the video when Bill Cosby, when OJ said this. OJ, you still got to report to your parole officer, man. So y'all tune in tonight. I'm gonna be on with Nicole's View. We will be talking about this damn thing. Y'all let me know what you think. All right. In the meantime, yeah, well, this was the video I was talking about. Remember when OJ said this?
Early in the week when I was still watching cable news, I should say cable opinion show, they had an interview with Caitlyn Jenner, and they asked her a question about her qualifications to be governor, and she gave a curious answer. She said, back in '76, I faced down the Russians. Well, I can only think she was talking about the Olympics when she won the decathlon, the gold medal. I was there. I was working the game for ABC. I was on the goal line when he actually won that 1,500 meter or metric mile to cinch the decathlon. But a gold medal is qualifications to be governor. I mean, Sugar Ray Leonard, he won a gold medal there. Edward Moses won a gold medal there. Even the late Leon Spinks won a gold medal, and I don't think he would have qualified by winning a gold medal to run for governor. In any event, I'm just saying, Bill Cosby decided not to take a course, a sexual course in prison, and it probably cost him his parole. So he's not getting out. Well, when I was in camp, I took anything,
all the courses. I wanted to get home to my kids. I took a victim impact course that was particularly galling to me because I had to get up and apologize to my victims. And I got up and said, guys, I'm sorry I caught you trying to sell my stolen property. I'm sorry I yelled at you, and I'm sorry that the state of California ruled it was my property, gave it back to me, and you didn't get to make any money off my stolen property. But I would have taken a cooking or sewing class. I would have taken anything to get home and get out of prison. I'm sure some of my dog buddies now said, you already took those courses at USC. In any event, Julio Jones, I know Baltimore may be, you probably could help them more than any other team, but the 49ers, your old coach Kyle Shanahan, who was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta when y'all went to Super Bowl. Come on, buddy, go to San Francisco and you'll go back to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying, hey guys, have a great Memorial weekend. God bless and get your shots.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm still there. Sorry, I was chatting with somebody. Somebody had their yeah. So I'm still here. So anyway, guys, let me wrap this up. But yeah, Bill Cosby is free. Mark Henry, yeah, OJ still hasn't learned his lesson. All right, but yeah, y'all tune in tonight, and in the meantime, it's time to get on up. I will see you all in the next one. Peace.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat, because on the dance floor is where we're going. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, There's only one thing left to do, cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop, or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start feeling. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you're breathing, you're achieving. So if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll feel the groove. Get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, start to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on. Yeah, gotta get on. Come on, baby, gotta get on. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on.
Bye, guys. Get on up. Tune in 7 o'clock, Nicole's View. 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. I'll holla.